we'll gather around, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong, together we belong.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I received some happy mail well, it's been a few weeks ago from Carolyn. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Now, what these are, they are actually brackets that you can use for, you know how you get the tray molds and whatever, and they kind of bow out once you put the resin in it. So you can make these and you can actually make a bracket to go around your mold as opposed to using the wooden ones or whatever, to keep your mold from bowing out like that. So Carolyn, I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to actually using these once they're made to help keep my items the right way and not have squiggly lines. All right, so for today we are using Let's Resin epoxy resin, and we're also going to use their mica powders. Now I'm going to do 4 of these. I want to do them kind of pretty. I mean, why not, right? So I've got, I think it's cobalt blue and then just the regular blue. And the cobalt blue is kind of like a purplish color almost. And I'm going to use a little bit of clear resin just to kind of break it up and help with the blending and kind of get maybe some cool designs in there. And we'll see how this goes. Now, I've never used anything like these molds before, so fingers crossed that they do the trick, and I don't see why not, but you never know. Okay, so we're just going to finish mixing up this blue, and they're just gorgeous shades. Like, I think they're very beautiful anyway, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, so they're all mixed up. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to pour some clear resin in, and that's just going to, depending on how much you use, it helps break it up. You can get a crackle effect with it. You can get all kinds of different designs and stuff like that by adding clear resin to your like colored resins, and it just keeps it almost separate, like the colors. Like obviously they're gonna blend some, right? And then it also depends on how much you use and how much you mix the colors and just all that stuff before the curing process. Now, we all know resin's going to do whatever it wants to do, but this is kind of a way to kind of help get those desired effects just to keep it, a little bit different. And we're going to go with it. Now, you can also, as opposed to pouring it on the bottom, you can also put it on the top depending on the way your piece is going to go. So if you're going to be flipping it and using the bottom side, I would suggest probably putting it on the bottom. Now, if you want a cool effect on the back, great, put it on the top, the top of it too. But to get it on the bottom, you kind of want to have that on the bottom, if that makes sense. So now you can see I'm making a huge mess, and it's fine. It really is. Um, I just want to make sure I get the colors in there and all over the place. And then I'm going to hit it with the new Let's Resin heat gun on low because I don't really want to blow it too much. I just want to pop any bubbles that may be on the surface. I am also taking my dotting tool and I am going to go in and out of every one of these little crevices. Now, on the bottom of these molds, they actually kind of protrude out a little bit. So there's a bottom part that air bubbles can get trapped. But I'm just going to take my dotting tool, go over it real quick, and that's it. We're going to finish filling them up because I only did it about halfway just so that I'm not making more of a mess. And then I'm going to wipe off the actual all my mess so I don't have to clean it later on with a baby wipe, and we're done. I'm just going to go ahead and go through this real quick, and then I will be back when we're ready for the next step.
Together we belong. In every comment right, you lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue elephant crew, this one's out for you. little heart. Videos we share, showing how much we care. Likes and shares, they grow. You
Okay,
make
I'm
the
back.
channel glow.
So I let these cure now. It hasn't been quite even 24 hours yet. Worked on it later in the day before, so they are still very flexible, as you can see. And I did have a little bit issue, not really an issue getting them out, just kind of breaking that seal because of how bendy they were. Now, it's not ideal for if you want them straight. I mean, all you have to do is just leave them and for on a flat surface, completely flat in the way they're supposed to be, and they'll harden up just fine within, I don't know, depending on how soon you demold, a few hours to whatever. But if you have one of those kind of odd shaped molds, this would be the perfect time to demold, and you can kind of shape it around that mold to how you need it to be and just keep it in place like that so that this way when you go to use that weird shaped mold or whatever, you have one specifically made for that, if that makes sense to you. Like it'll harden up in whatever way you leave it. So some of those molds that are kind of odd shaped, maybe not quite a square, or even maybe a round one, you get a couple of them put together, and then you can put that there and then find a way to connect them up together. And then that'll solve a problem for those odder shaped molds that aren't necessarily have your flat sides like, you know, the tray mold that I'm going to use here in a minute. So this is what they're looking like. And you can see now, did I get crackle effects? Not really, but I did get some cool effects. Hindsight, like I didn't use a whole lot of clear the first go around. Now I am doing this again because you need four of them. You need four of them to make that box type shape so that you can actually have them all connecting. So this time I just had some resin left over, and this is a great project for leftover resin too. So you can just they don't take a whole lot of resin, so that you can just kind of throw in your, whatever unused resin that you have that you don't necessarily have enough to make anything with or whatever, and just use it and make some of these so that you have, several laying around in case you need them. This is a new resin that I'm trying. I'll have a video out about this in a couple days, but I just kind of wanted to see how this acted and all that good stuff without doing a whole lot to it. So just kind of experimenting with it, you know, in some different ways than what I typically would do. So I've got my clear resin down. Now, this time I decided to go with a peach color and yellow because why not? Plus, it kind of gives me, then I'll remember which one is which. If I would have went with the same colors, then I wouldn't necessarily know which one was the Let's resin and which one was this other resin that I'm trying out. So this way I can kind of compare. All right, so I've got my clear resin, hit it with a heat gun real quick just to kind of loosen it up because this is a slightly thicker resin than the Let's resin. And then I'm just going in with my colors. Now I'm doing pretty much the same kind of thing. I'm just throwing the colors in over top of each other, in lines, whatever. It doesn't necessarily matter. I just want to see what kind of designs I can get. I want to see how this resin is going to work on this mold. In this one in particular, I'm not going into every little crevice like I did with the Let's resin like I typically would. This is me just moving. I'm not trying to break bubbles. I'm just moving the resin into those little holes because it's not filling up on its own. But I'm not going around the 90-degree angles. I just kind of want to test and play around and see if we're going to get a lot of, bubbles stuck and stuff like that. So that's why I'm not doing those things that I would typically do and that I did before. I just want to try it out, see how it happens. All right, so I'm pretty much just about full, hitting it with my heat gun just to pop any bubbles on the top. And then I'm going to start with a baby wipe and then realize that a Q-tip is a way better option for cleaning these off because this way I'm not dragging the resin that's actually where it's supposed to be up and out and wasting it like I noticed was happening. So I'm going to go over that real quick and then we're going to kind of see how this resin does and see if we can make this thing into a box. The things that, like the molds that kind of set inside each other, or you have to kind of assemble them, I'm always very leery of, because I've had some really bad experiences with them. So they don't always necessarily work, and you have to be careful on how far you fill it and just all of the things. I demolded this early because of the time frame that I was able to work with the puppy and be able to get away and all of that stuff. So we are still pretty bendy at this point. However, I will say that this resin did hold up pretty well. You can see I kind of got some cool color, cool, like, not colors, cool designs going on a little bit on there, but the real test is going to be, can I make a box out of this, and is it going to work for what I need it to do? So now that I have got all four pieces, now I'm not going to wait until these are completely cured, like hard type cured, to kind of try this out. I just want to see what's going on, and for the sake of time, I really didn't have the time to wait for the filming because I needed to make sure I got this out today. All right, so it's all demolded, and you can see how that clear just kind of gives that just beautiful effect that it does. Now, here's a tray mold. This tray mold I have issues with, and you can see it bows on all four sides, but I really like this tray mold a lot, and I don't want to have to necessarily repurchase it again. So we can see that they are not quite long enough for this tray, but I think that it can still work. So typically when I do my trays, I tend to do it in several different layers, because it's very seldomly that I'm doing one straight color. So you can kind of make it so that it's on the top. Now, is it going to hold those sides in? No, but if you make a couple of more of these, you can make it and finagle it to work. I do believe that those little, like, teeth on the edges of it, that maybe you can put them together to extend it longer, like maybe they interconnect somehow. I'll have to play around with it a little bit more once they are set completely, to see, because that would be really great, especially for those larger molds that, we all have. I mean, this is great for the smaller ones just on its own, just how it is. I'm going to play around with it. You're going to see it in the future. Anyway, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will catch you guys on Thursday in the next one. Carolyn, thank you again so much. I appreciate you. Love ya. Bye.
Blue elephant is strong. Together we